All right, guys, this is still chapter 2 coming at you, but now we're going to talk about using observation for your research. Okay? Methods of observation. Based on our observations of others and ourselves, we make generalizations about human beings' behavior and human nature. Most of our observations are fleeting and haphazard. We often sift through experiences for things that interest us, and we often ignore the obvious because it doesn't fit with how we think things ought to be. Therefore, we cannot draw specific scientific conclusions based on our own unstructured observations. So, first off, we have the testing method. This is a psychological test to learn about human behavior. This includes intelligence testing, aptitude testing, which tests for inherent ability or talent, and personality tests. These test character traits and temperament. You guys have an extra credit personality test. I would love for you to take it. Send me screenshots of your results, um, just so we can see how we compare to one another. Um, Case study method is another method of observation. This is an in-depth investigation of a person or small group. The researcher is going to speak with the participant and interview others who know them and research their background and personal history. Researchers use what they learn in case studies to generalize larger principles that apply to larger populations. So, who used case studies? Freud did to develop psychoanalytic theory. Example, Jenny was a 20-month-old girl kept in a basement until she was 13 years old. Her mother did feed her, but her father beat her. She was rescued at the age of 13 and had a hard time learning speech. This finding led to a theory that there's a special language learning period in early childhood that Jeannie missed out on. This case study cannot be replicated due to the cruelty and rarity of what happened to Jeannie. Um, the cons of case study. People have gaps in their memories and inaccuracies because they don't remember details very clearly. Some people knowingly distort their past to impress the researcher, and sometimes without meaning to, researchers encourage people to answer in a certain way to fulfill their expectations and what they want to research. Another method of testing or observation is longitudinal test. Researchers select a group of participants and then they observe them over a period of time, usually years to decades. They observe the way people change over time, and these observations are conducted at intervals throughout the years or decades. They are extremely time consuming and extremely expensive. And they're also risky because there's no guarantee that the participant will continue for the long haul, that they'll stay in the study for decades at a time. Another course of study is the cross sectional method. And this method, the researchers select a sample that includes people of different ages and they compare the behaviors of participants in different age groups. This is less reliable than longitudinal studies. Why is that? Because psychologists cannot be certain what factors are truly responsible for the differences among the participants. Is it truly the differences in developmental changes? Or is it because the participants are different to start with and they have different minds and different brains and different ways of thinking? Um, and then we have the naturalistic observational method. This is also known as a field study. In this study, researchers observe the animal or human participant in their natural habitat. For human participants, that can be in their homes, at school, within a restaurant, or anywhere that people spend their time. Psychologists try not to interfere with the organism, so with the animal or the human participant they're observing in this type of study. Then you have the laboratory observation method. This study takes place in an area that provides the opportunity for observation or experimentation. Many of the labs are informal. Often, study of animals is used in this way. And this type of study is used to control the environment of a particular study. An example is this Skinner box created by B.F. Skinner. This is a special enclosed environment that allowed him to study the behavior of animals. and even his own child until the age of 2, or he started studying his child at the age of 2. And didn't just leave her in a box, but used it to study what she would go for and that sort of thing. Now, analyzing the observation and analyzing the results, researchers want to measure the correlation of how closely one thing is related to another. It's important to remember that correlation does not equal causation. The stronger the correlation, the more closely the two things are related. All right. Here we have no correlation at all. Here we have a positive correlation. Here's another positive correlation. And then here is a negative correlation. Okay. A positive correlation means as one aspect goes up, so does another. An example of this is a need to achieve in salaries. If a person's need to achieve is high, then their salary would also be high. There's a strong likelihood that they would have a high salary. All right, negative correlation is one aspect goes up, the other factor goes down. Example of this would be stress and health. If a person's stress goes up, then their overall health declines. There are limits to correlation. It only describes a relationship. It does not show cause and effect. And you cannot conclude on the basis of correlation that one thing causes the other. And that wraps up observational research. All right, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Bye now.